Season 2.
Yay, we're back.
2025.
So good to be back, lovers. So good to have you here listening in or watching in again for our second season.
I hope you guys had a great holiday season.
Yes, especially for those of us in the Southern Hemisphere because it was summer and summer holiday times, which was fantastic.
Mm-hmm. It's been about a month off.
Nice.
For us.
Been more than that off from the podcast.
How long has it been?
I think it's been about 6 weeks.
A month and a half.
Yeah, because I had 4 weeks off away from the clinic and then I've been back for nearly 2 weeks.
Nice.
Yeah.
How are you finding being back?
It's good. It's good. I must admit I do like holidays. But no, I love the connection with people and helping them and having good chats, and it's very heartwarming work, opening people up to the beauty and the gorgeousness and the power and the transformational possibility of having a great love life.
So what was your most erotic moment over these 6 weeks, Mother?
Yes, daughter. I knew you were going to ask this question. What was the most erotic moment? It's not just the past week. It's the past 6 weeks, really.
Mm.
Well, and being on holidays, I had so many gorgeous experiences.
Mm-hmm.
So, look, and for any new listeners, lovers.
Oh, yeah, maybe we should redefine what this segment is.
Yeah.
You take it away.
Well, so it's the idea that our eroticism, our libido is our life force energy. So it's about tapping into our life force. So it's not just about feeling sexually aroused. It's feeling powerfully alive and vital and connected with the flow of life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because sexual energy is life force energy.
Yes. That's a lot of what we're talking about here, which can be kind of weird for people. A lot of people don't actually get what I and we are trying to promote in the world. Even lots of my colleagues don't get it. Too often people are thinking that, sex is about, blood going to your genitals and feeling that horny feeling. Or if they think the alternative is some sort of spiritual kind of woo-hooey thing, and I guess we are a little bit woo-hooey, but what we're trying to convey here very much as giving you practical information around when the genitals come together, but so much more than that, and how it's a positive feedback loop. The more we're engaged with life, the better and more vital we feel on the inside, and that translates into the physicality of our expression of our eroticism, which then makes life better again.
Yeah, and it helps remove it from this separate from life activity, and makes it enmeshed with the whole of your life.
Yes, we've got to stop thinking of sex as this thing that's separate from the rest of life.
Separate and shameful.
Yeah, it ties in with all those negative emotions that often we don't even know we have.
Yeah, and looking for, it's like you're retraining your brain into seeking eroticism, making new neural pathways to feel more aligned in your life, which is essentially what CBT is, but now you're doing it, but erotica.
Yeah, I like when you
EBT.
EBT. I love that, EBT, not CBT. Not cognitive behavioral therapy, but erotic behavioral therapy. I think you might be onto something there, my darling. I love it because it also is just so much more appealing. Like when you sort of bring the erotic and the gorgeous and the evocative and the deep feeling and the vital into it all.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Because it's kind of like it opens up the center of your body and your being. You're not just thinking about it cognitively.
Yeah.
And you're not just waiting for the blood to flow down into your genitals and have something happening there. It's your heart, it's your soul, it's your being comes into it.
It reminds me of a bit of a tangent, but I think it's a good explanatory. Anyway, one of my colleagues, because I work at a hair salon, one of my colleagues, I was washing his head the other day, and he was like, I was giving him a head massage. He was like, you're going to have to stop or I'll get a boner. And I was like, you can get a boner?
Yeah.
The best compliment ever. It just means you're enjoying it. And he was like, no, it's so embarrassing. I was like, what do you mean? And he was like, well, I don't want you to be uncomfortable. I was like, that's like saying getting blushed is embarrassing because you've got that rush of blood to your face. It's the same. It's just to your penis.
Yeah.
Yeah, just taking it out of this like weird other shame
Yes.
space and into just like normality, I guess.
Yeah.
Because that is truthfully like how I see it, you know?
Yeah, it's a really interesting example, that one.
Mm.
Like, on the one hand, yes, it's good that he realized that his erection might be an imposition on you and make you feel bad. Because, yes, men getting erections can make women feel uncomfortable. But if we look at the why, it stems back into that old model of sex that if a man's got an erection, he's got to do something with it and he's got to impose it on a woman. That's the only reason why you would feel uncomfortable. That
Yeah.
somehow his erection had a negative influence on what you're doing and what the expectation of you in relation to that penis, because the penis has all of that power. But if you take away the power and just say, hey, as you said, you're just having a nice time, cool. You're just having a physiological reaction to pleasure.
Yeah, just relaxing.
As we all do. So it's all about the meaning that we ascribe to these things. And yes, I'm not denying that the reality of negative penis power over women has been very much part of our culture for so long.
Yeah.
But what is going to empower us in that change, right? It's not saying penises are bad and men are bad and, we've got to hate all of that stuff and hide the penis. Is actually change our relation to what it means.
Yeah, and it's so sad that instead of like enjoying the relaxation of the head massage, he's just so worried about.
Yeah.
Anyway, back to the original question.
Erotic moments. Yeah, look, so going on holidays, I had a lot of beautiful nature moments. Definitely, because went down the coast with my man. He's
soft launch.
He's given me permission to mention him and his name, well, his initials. So we shall refer to him as Mr. G. Anyway, so Mr. G also loves getting out into nature. So he did a beautiful walk up a mountain. We did another beautiful walk along the coast with you as well, a traditional. And both of these have got strong Indigenous connections as well.
Yeah.
We went up Gulaga Mount, is a mountain. Got called Mount Dromedary for a while, but fortunately it's now gone back to its original name of Gulaga. And we walked along the Binji Dreaming track, dreaming being part of the Indigenous spirituality, for those that may not know. But the one I wanted to share was we went kayaking.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so the kayaking was really beautiful on this lake, this really still lake surrounded by bushland and stuff. So that was really gorgeous. And then afterwards, we had fish and chips at the boat shed overlooking. So it's just kind of this almost kind of run down sort of a boat shed, like nothing special, but right on the water, looking out over the lake and eating oysters and drinking beer.
Nice.
And just felt so peaceful, so connected. With each other, with nature,
lovely.
It was a very heightened, full. Like there was this just beautiful fullness, oneness, connectedness that was really lovely. So that's the one I really wanted to focus on and share. But I guess what I wanted to stress here, and why I'm using this example, was because there actually wasn't anything sort of genitally sexual about it. Isn't to say that it may not have translated into some lovely genital sexual things later on, and maybe, if I remember well, possibly preceded it as well. Hey, we're on holidays. Yeah.
Nice. Sounds good. Love that for you.
And what about you, my darling? What would you like to share with our lovers?
Also from the South Coast.
Yes.
If you don't know, I've been vegan for almost 10 years. And during the summer holidays, the Christmas holidays, I was just thinking about it and where I want to take it in 2025, because a decade is a long time. And I decided that I don't want to be standard definition vegan anymore. I want to be Claude definition vegan.
Yes, love that.
So
love that.
So basically, I decided to eat oysters for the first time in like 9 years. And my partner taught me how to shuck them myself. And so there was one day on the holidays where I probably ate about 70 oysters. But there was also a few days where I would just buy like 3 dozen oysters and just sit by myself and slowly make my way through them, shucking them all. And it was so much fun because kind of hard, and it took me a little while to learn.
Mm.
But then once I got it, I like really figured it out because my partner was teaching me how to do it, and he was like, "Yeah, you just do this." And I was like, "I'm doing exactly what you're teaching me, and it's not working." But then I realized that it's more of a vibe thing.
Mm-hmm.
You gotta
Get in
each
the
oyster's
vibe.
different, you know.
Mhm.
You gotta learn the way of the oyster. You have to be so present when you're opening the oysters because you're like trying to find the little groove to like hinge it open
Mm.
with.
Mm.
And then once you finally do it, it's so rewarding and you just get really excited because you know it's going to be such a good eat. And usually it's a little bit difficult, so it's rewarding.
Yeah.
Anyway, so then the oyster was open, and then I had 3 different sauce options. So I had Tabasco and then lemon, and then I had lemon and Tabasco. So I'd have my freshly opened oyster, and then I'd be like, Anyway, so I would watch movies and then just sit there shucking oysters for 2.5 hours. It's just so nice. And the first few oysters, I did feel really sad because the person who we bought them off referred to them as babies. Sad for the baby oysters. But after that, and I said thank you to probably like the first 20 oysters that I ate, and then it just felt normal again.
Mm.
So just the entire experience from start to finish, like the being connected to myself and choosing to do this, and then learning how to do this, and then being faced with the eating of another creature and what that means for me, and then doing it anyway, and then being really present. It was honestly kind of meditative.
Yeah, yes. Yes.
Just sitting and shucking oysters.
Yeah, it is. And actually, that's what I was going to say. That is a mindfulness practice,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And so much of actually what we're talking about here is living life mindfully,
Yeah.
engaging in life in that mindful, present, engaged.
Yeah.
And that was just a beautiful example of it.
What's it called when food is sexy?
Aphrodisiac.
Yes. Oysters are an aphrodisiac. Can convert.
More on that next episode, perhaps.
I know I've ranted about oysters for like 10 minutes now. But the actual process of eating an oyster, because it's really quick. So you have to like prepare yourself before you eat it, because you have to be like, hey, so one mouthful of whatever delicious sauce I've chosen. And then it gets really, and then you're like, and you sit with it in your mouth. Anyway, the oysters, 10 out of 10.
Beautiful.
So oyster tangent over. What are we talking about
Lovely
today?
share. Lovely share. Well, because it is the first episode of the new season and it is the beginning of the year.
Yeah, I think this comes out in February though. So.
Well, we kind of had January off, so it's still early in the year, right? And, in the new year, we're thinking about, good intentions and how our year's going to play out and, all those new year kind of thoughts.
Things.
And so I thought that we might talk about how you can apply that to your love life. Yeah. How you can actually decide to have Project Great Sex 2025. Yeah. That's what I thought we'd talk about today.
Excellent. Kind of taking all of season 1 with you into the new year.
Yeah. Yeah. In a way. Right. Now, probably most of you lovers who are listening or watching this have listened to some of season 1. So I'm not going to go over all of that again. Right? But a lot of what I'm talking about, in very much like what you were saying with the oysters, it's about the intentionality of it.
Right.
Yeah. Because so many people, their love life, their romantic life, their sex life, it's just kind of like a default.
Yeah.
Right? It's sort of, you fit it in where you can. It's supposed to just happen naturally and all this sort of stuff. And that just doesn't happen, right? The more intentionality, the more mindfulness, the more presence we bring to this part of our life, the better it's going to be.
Whether you're single or coupled.
Indeed. It's like, to use your oyster example, darling, you could have bought some shucked oysters and just gone gulp, 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 gulp while watching your show. And a moment later, you would have even forgotten that you'd done it. Yeah? So part of this intentionality is to actually think about it, right? Think about, what does it mean? What do you want? What do you like? What do you not like? Like, how does it fit into your life?
Yeah, how do you want it to go?
Yeah.
Again, the oyster example. I wanted to have a children and family movie. and I wanted 3 different sources.
Yes. And then you probably created a physical environment. You probably were sitting comfortably.
We have reclining chairs.
Oh, yeah.
Had the reclining chair, and then we have this table that you can, like, even if while your legs are up, you could put the table on top of you. And then I had a towel to catch all the oyster bits. Anyway, it was really thought out.
This is actually my octogenarian parents' recliners and moving tables that their granddaughter. You're such a grandma sometimes.
Yeah, no, it's good.
Yeah. But, as
I just like what I like.
Well, yeah, I love what you like, And even as I'm getting older now, right? And it's sort of like some things that I thought, oh my God, old people. Like as I'm getting older and I'm enjoying it a lot more, I'm kind of like, why would I diss that?
Yeah. But it's also like, I like my reclining chair and my...
Yeah.
But I also like to run marathons. So it's not like...
Exactly.
It's not like I'm choosing this one lifestyle.
And this also, oh my God, I can't believe... You'd almost think that we pre-planned this. We hadn't, by the way. I didn't even know that Claudia was going to use that example. But the first step in your project Great Sex 2025 is to pay attention to what you like.
Yep.
Yeah.
And not just like, I like big titties, big butt. It's more like, what do you like about that,
Yeah. And you're not buying into what you think you should like because of your age or stage of life or culture or whatever. Like you like the granny recliner as well as running marathons. Yeah, you're not saying, oh, granny recliners is for old people or, I can't do a marathon because I'm not fit enough. I mean, we just put all of these excuses, all these reasons in our head as to why we should and shouldn't do something. Right? So the more focus we put on really getting in touch with what I call our inner GPS.
Yeah.
Again, like I was saying earlier in our conversation today, it's feeling into here.
Yeah.
If we just rely on our head is full of all of these stories. Yeah. And if we just rely on what's going on down there, well, nothing might ever happen or something might happen too often and inappropriately, like it's just too disconnected.
Yeah.
Right. So we need to really feel into what do we like? What's feeling right for us? Then we can use our head because our head is very good at putting things into action.
Yeah.
Coming up with ideas and plans and strategies for sure, which will then let whatever's happening down here be the best it can be.
What would you say to someone who doesn't even know where to begin with that though?
Yes, and I often get that because often my clients will say to me, but I don't know what I like. And I start very simply. I start partly because a lot of people think they go straight to the genitals, like they go straight to the sexual activity, right? Do I want to use a dildo? Do I want to have it up some orifice, right? I'm like, no, time of day.
Yeah.
Atmosphere, right? I always start what comes before, what comes before, what comes before.
Yeah.
Right? And starting to look at what sort of mood do you want to be in, right? What kind of, and that really ties in with, not being too tired.
Yeah.
Not being too stressed, getting on with your partner.
Yeah.
Being in a nice atmosphere. Those 4 things, I'll say them again. Not being too tired, right? Not being too stressed. Physiologically, we cannot become aroused when we're tired and stressed. It is physiologically impossible, right?
Yeah, because your body's got more important things to think about.
Yeah, your nervous system's going, no, I'm not going there.
Yeah,
I'm focusing on protection.
Yeah,
either sleep or protection. Like if you're feeling stressed, that's telling your body that there's danger around.
Yeah.
Yeah, and your body's going to be in protective mode, not open and release and relax and right? You need to be getting on with your partner. Because if you're not getting on with your partner, you're not going to be attracted to them.
Yeah, your body's, again, not going to relax.
Yeah.
Them. Yeah.
Yeah, right? And you need to be in a nice environment. And that varies. Some people it's more important than other people. Some people don't care, right? It can be in a disgusting, messy place. But for a lot of people, the environment makes a big difference.
Like for me personally, no big lights.
Yes.
Ever. Illegal.
Yes.
If you turn the big light on, I will, like a vampire, go.
Yeah, I'm the same.
Natural light or super chill, awesome lights.
Yes. I also don't like total darkness. Yeah.
I can fuck with total darkness.
Yeah, no, I don't like it. But I think that's because
Do you like being blindfolded though?
No,
Yeah.
I'm a bit claustrophobic. So if I can't see, I don't like it.
Because it doesn't make you feel safe, and therefore your body can't relax, and therefore you can't open and enjoy the full experience of it all.
Bravo.
100%
Paying attention, right? Now, the fact that I don't like it with the lights out, I don't like blindfolds, like that doesn't make me some sort of weird prude or, like it's,
Are you sure about that?
darling, I'm supposed to be modeling. I'm supposed to be modeling a healthy attitude. Otherwise, all my shame's going to come up because I know I'm kind of weird. I should like my blindfolds, but I'm such a prude. Yeah, right. And very often when we start focusing on all of that sort of stuff, what goes around it, what's contributing to the experience, then you can open up and relax, and then you can start thinking about, well, what do I want to do with it?
Like action-wise.
Yeah. Yes. Right. But starting to have, so the second part of the project Great Sex 2025 is communicating it with your partner and having these good conversations, right?
About just the setup, or?
So this is partly what it is, like just sort of the setup, the timing, the relating, the relax, everything that you need to be in a good space, a good state. When you can communicate that and know that your partner understands and you understand them, right? And it might be, probably find it's actually pretty similar. You will actually probably find it's very similar. Often couples think that, one's ready any time and, the other one needs all this fancy stuff. But actually that's not generally the case, right? And generally, even if one needs a few more things like, the right lighting or whatever, the other one doesn't care that much.
No.
It's not that big a deal. Like, I don't care if the lights are on or the lights are off, but if you want the lights down, well, okay, all I have to do is just turn the little dial and the lights go down. Like, I mean, really, it's not a biggie. But when you know that about each other, that provides that connectiveness and, very importantly, the psychological safety.
Yeah.
You know me, you get me. I know that you're understanding me and I'm understanding you, okay? Then it gets a lot easier because it is psychologically safer to potentially then talk about what you're actually doing.
What are some open-ended questions?
Yeah. So things like, so start with the positives. I'm always big on starting with the positives. What do you like about our love life? Like, what's going really well at the moment?
Yeah. What works for you?
Yeah. And what are some of the things that we've done, whether it's recently or even in the dim distant past that, was really exciting or turned us on, right? Now, from that, you might be able to go, so is there anything that you'd like to try, right? But keep in mind that it's really important that you don't put all the pressure on the other person to come up with the ideas. So don't keep saying, what do you want? What do you want? What do you want? What do you like? Start by sharing with yourself. Yeah. Right? So be like, so let's, and use we language. So let's have a bit of a conversation about what we could do. Yeah. If there's anything missing or if there's anything we'd like to try. So me personally, something I'm interested in is trying blindfolds. This is an example. Obviously, it's not my actual case. Yeah. Right. And you're sharing why you would like to do that. Right. I'd like to try blindfolds because I heard that it heightens feeling, right? Or it feels a little bit kind of like the anticipation of not knowing what's going to come. Yeah. Or I'd just like to kind of lie back and have you do all of the work because I'm blindfolded and I can't do anything. I don't know, right? But that's what you're doing. Like, you're sharing of, what do you feel about that? Right? So you're sharing of yourself first and then inviting them to share how they feel about it. And then they're going to start something. And if neither of you can decide who's going first, you can just do rock, scissors, paper. Right? And that's kind of cool too, because it's so important that you have this conversation in a light, playful way.
Yeah. Not serious.
Yeah, because time after time after time, clients come to me and they've only ever had serious conversations about sex, and it's so unsexy. I had a youngish couple come just yesterday, the first session, and she'd been complaining for years about how he's not into it and he's not initiating and he's not showing that he's into it. And, as far as she was concerned, he just listened to her until she shut up and then he'd just ignore it and walk off.
Awesome.
Right? What we reframed it as is that her telling him off all the time was scary to him, right? So that would shut down his nervous system to some extent. He'd go into more of a freeze mode. And what little he did understand, he didn't know what to do about it because she wasn't really kind of engaging with the we. She was putting all of it onto him. He didn't know what to do. So he would just kind of go, thank God that's over, and let's hope that doesn't happen again. And it wouldn't. But then another month or two later, it would happen again.
Not a very good system.
No, because she wasn't actually sharing of self, and she wasn't engaging with where he was at.
Yeah.
And she realized in the session that we had that she'd been putting him on a pedestal and assuming he knew what to do. And it was actually so eye-opening to her to think that, oh, maybe he doesn't know what to do.
Imagine a man not knowing what to do. Inconceivable. Well, just anyway. Yeah. No, yeah, it's not very shocking to me from what I know of people and society and sex.
Yes.
Unfortunate.
Yeah.
But I like the idea of just coming at it, at least initially, just from like, what do you need to feel safe?
Yeah.
Enough for us to actually have a good play session.
Yeah. And keeping in mind that what makes it good is this sense of being able to feel relaxed and open and inviting and engaging. Yeah. So what makes you feel safe isn't necessarily the right question. It might work for some of you.
Yeah.
Yeah. But rather than using what makes you feel psychologically safe, it's like, what makes you feel relaxed? What makes you feel connected?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good starting point.
Yeah.
And then from there, get more specifically sexual.
Yeah. And you might also decide that as part of Project Good Sex, you're not just talking about what you're doing sexually, right? That may well be part of it. But it might be that you want to find out more, you want to engage more, or you want to listen to podcasts like this, where you already are, read some books together, or, again, just like engaging in life in this more vital, erotic way.
Yeah.
So if you're a single person, what kind of relationship do you want? How do you want to express your sexuality? What would work for you? Because sadly, too many people, when it comes to sex and meeting a new person, they're very reactive.
Yeah.
Right? They're sort of reacting to what the other person's bringing.
Yeah.
And a lot of that is mind reading.
Yeah.
There's a lot of projection of what you think is going on.
Yeah.
Right? You're having your date, or, you're walking home, or you're like, he must or they must be thinking this, or that eye movement or that touch means this, or we've got this far, therefore I need to do this, or I'm going to run away, or rather than just speaking openly about where you're at.
Yeah.
And really not rushing it. Like too often modern dating, people rush into stuff, and look, if you just want to have a quick fuck, go for it, right?
Yeah, but you can even say that like on the walk home, just be like, hey, so I'm thinking of having a quick fuck later.
How would that be for you? Right? Yeah. But if you're thinking more like, hey, let's take our time, let's get to know each other. And what's really important and what I love so much is like not taking your time in the sense of like shutting yourself down until the gates open, but like building it. Just like really enjoying the company and having a nice little kiss and then stopping, or, being close to each other, but not necessarily like fully. And start talking to your partner about what it is that you're wanting. And if the new person is, so when I say partner, I mean new person. And if they're like, whoa, this is all a little bit different, you go, yes, I know. And it's really good, right? Or maybe you don't know yet, because I've actually worked with people who, are learning all of this stuff and they're loving it and they're wanting to do it. And then they meet a new partner. Oh my God. I mean, I'm doing it myself, right? Yeah. Often what you're bringing, a lot of what we're talking about here is not common approach, not the common understanding. Now, if the person is not the slightest bit interested, well, then you're like, okay, this isn't a good match.
Yeah, and that's fine, because they wouldn't have been able to give you what you wanted anyway.
Yeah, just like there's many other elements in a relationship that's going to make you a good match or not, right? But you might be surprised, because when you open up to someone, it's like, hey, you got this really cool information, and like, let's make this as good as we possibly can. And this is how I'd like to approach it. What about you? And you're giving the sense of inviting the other to speak as well. That's when the co-creation comes.
Is there a step number 3?
There is a step number 3, and step number 3 is actually to make it happen.
Nice.
Right? Because it's all well and good to come up with all of these ideas and share and talk, but then, like most good intentions at the beginning of the year, they can fall by the wayside because you're not actually implementing them.
Yeah.
Right? And that's where it's really important that, you have your regular conversations. How are we going with Project Great Sex? Yeah. If things aren't going the way that you'd hope they would, then what's getting in the way? Right? If you decided that, you're going to make Sunday mornings your sleep-in morning and a little bit of nookie, but you're not doing it, you're like, well, what's going on? What's getting in the way? Right? If you're wanting to do it and you're sort of thinking, okay, this is what we're going to be doing, and then maybe you're getting too tired, maybe you're not prioritizing, but just talk about it. Talk about it. Figure it out. Yeah? And keep that intentionality going.
Yeah. Just keep talking about sex, guys. Don't stop talking about sex.
Yes.
That's essentially the takeaway.
Well, it is really.
Yeah.
And when that becomes a normal part of your life, well, then you don't really need to set the New Year's intention because you're already doing it.
So to summarize.
Yes.
Project 2025, great sex, good sex,
Mm-hmm.
some other G word.
Yes. Glorious sex.
Step number 1. What do you need? What do you want?
Yeah.
What base needs to be made in order for you to open up in all of the ways? Step number 2, communicating that with your partner.
Yes.
And finding out what they need and how you can work with what you need and what they need.
Yes.
To create something truly pleasurable and connecting.
Yes.
And then the third step is to make it happen.
Mm-hmm.
And not let it fall to the wayside like other New Year's resolutions.
Yes. Keep it on the agenda.
And hopefully you'll understand that it is really good to prioritize sex and your number 1 relationship because it is one of the main measures of health these days.
Oh, it is.
The quality of your primary relationship.
It is.
Yeah.
Good summary, darling.
Thank you. 2025.
Woohoo.
Okay. So usually at this segment of the podcast, we'd be talking about questions. But over the holidays, we did get rather hilarious email from one of our beautiful lovers. And so I just wanted to quickly read it out because it's very funny. Anyway, so it was in response to episode 6, which was the truth, male buddies.
Ah, yes.
And if you haven't listened to that episode, you should because it's funny. And also really informative, whatever, amazing information. But in that episode, we were talking about the unsolicited dick pic.
Yes.
Rather self-explanatory. But this lovely lover, her name is Susan, and she says, I just had to write to you with a story of mine about something which happened at my workplace related to being sent one of these pictures. It's an awkward one about how I and other women at work responded to someone who sent me an unsolicited dick pic, and I thought it would be fun to share it with both of you. It also just shows what can go wrong if these pictures are sent out, especially when they are unsolicited.
Yes.
So, a guy I used to work with used to always brag about having a huge penis. He always looked for an opportunity to talk about how big he was and how so many women were after him because of it. He once said that he had a 10-incher. I'm sure we both come across someone like that at some stage. This all changed, however, when he sent me a dick pic. His pic was a close-up of his penis with a ruler right next to it, so I could see exactly how long it was fully erect. I don't know what he was thinking, but it really wasn't anything to boast about. It looks like it was only about 5.5 inches long. I find that very interesting, the blatant lie of it all. Anyway.
Amazing how people can kid themselves.
He then sent me a message around 15 minutes later begging me not to show it to anyone else and saying that he was so sorry, but I'd already sent it out to every single one of my female friends by that point. It was no accident that he sent it to me, as I found out that he'd also sent it to someone else with the same apology around 15 minutes later. I think that some of them really needed a good laugh, and they sure as hell got one. From then on, we kept making jokes at work by measuring various items in the office with a ruler and saying things like, damn, that thing's smaller than I expected. Doesn't even measure 6 inches. Followed by lots of laughter. It was so funny watching him go red as a beetroot, even though we weren't even talking about his junk. They really do need to understand that if they send unsolicited dick pics, then it's open season for us to send all our girlfriends to point and laugh as well as criticize and judge. Maybe don't agree with that sentence, but moving on. Telling them that it's small seems to work really well in getting them to stop. The dick pic guy left 2 weeks later, probably through embarrassment. Our boss didn't understand what was going on until after he left. Afterwards, we told her and she had a really good laugh and said that it served him right. Do they expect us to react to their unsolicited dick pic with a message of, ooh, that's such a nice penis. Is that all for me? Wow, I feel so lucky now. It's so big and such a big turn on. Before we magically jump through their screens desperate for sex and then jump on top of them? Surely they must know by now that this approach doesn't work, and we are so much more likely to show their pics to friends and have a good laugh at them. Just how are we supposed to react to men who exaggerate about their size before we meet them? And how are we able to deal with this situation where Mr. 10 inches drops his trousers and turns out to be Mr. 5.5? Thank you so much again, Jacqueline and Claude, for your wonderful content and for the entertainment it has given me, and I really hope that my story gives you a good laugh or a smile. You're more than welcome to use it in any way you please. Lots of love, Sue. Love you, Sue. Thank you, Sue.
Thank you, Susan. That was a great share, and I think interesting. And yes, it has definitely given us a good chuckle and a good laugh.
Yeah.
And look, I'm kind of hearing that what you did was you teased him, but like, you weren't totally nasty about him. Like, you're just making little jokes about size not being exactly what it might be.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I think, the one thing that really comes up for me is like, I just feel sad for men who think that that is going to be an effective way of, and I even had this intuition as you were reading it just then, that maybe he's been listening to some of those, men's power kind of guys who have a very kind of patriarchal view of how to relate to women. And, like the male dating coaches, like I'm sure there's good ones out there, so I'm not saying all of them, but some of them, they've just got all these like gamified ways of picking up women. And it's really just about making money off the poor suckers of the men who are desperate to, get a woman. And, you've paid money and you get told to, oh, yeah, send them a dick pic and then apologise for it. And then they'll know that you've got a big heart or something. I mean, I reckon that might have been what he was doing.
No. I reckon he was so sexually frustrated. And when he was a teenager one time, he did this exact thing. And then it either got him an ego boost from his friends when he told them, or for some weird teenage reason it actually worked. That's what I reckon it is. It comes 100%. Well, okay, let's not speak in absolute, but I'm pretty sure it would come from some type of teenage experience, and that either one that he's done or he's heard of. And because he's so pent up and sexually frustrated and like needs these women to know that he's into them, and is so dysfunctional. He just does not understand at all.
Exactly. Wherever it's come from.
And there's that post-nut clarity, it seems, of him being like, oh, I'm so sorry. But then he does it again. So that's why I'm confused.
What I'm thinking. Like, it seems to be a strategy.
Yeah.
And sometimes these guys learn these strategies because people teach them these strategies.
Yeah.
Right? Like, wherever he got it from, even if it was a teenage thing, watching too much porn, thinking that big cocks are what women like. Yeah. But what I find really interesting is that there was actually a ruler next to it.
It's just very confusing.
Yeah. So this guy's deluded himself. Like, all he's done is copy something, right? Like, just show how big your cock is, right? So he's got it fixed in his head that 10 inches is what women want, or that's the right size. And like, I mean, clearly the guy's not very smart. But it's just so sad.
It is. It's so sad. And it's like obviously nice for the women to have their moment of power of just like, haha, weak man, whatever, which is like a positive out of this situation is that it raised the women up when it was intended to, I guess, take them down.
Yeah. And they didn't sort of take offense at it and go, oh my God, this is all so scary. Like, they turned it into a joke. But a really great story to share.
Oh yeah, did you see the actual photo? She attached the photo for us.
Yes, unfortunately, I had to look at a photo of a man's dick. That was a bit unsolicited too. Like, what? But I mean, it was just a nice size. Like,
you think about a penis, and that's what it looks like.
It was just a penis.
Yeah.
I don't know, it was an average penis. Yeah. I mean, if that penis had been attached to a man that I was into, I would have been quite happy with that penis. Looking at that penis on its own, I'm kind of thinking, look, if I was a doctor or a urologist or something, I might find it interesting. As a sex therapist, I do more talking than looking. Not interested. In fact, over the years, I have had men asking if they can send me a photo of their penis so I can tell them if it's the right size or not. And my response is always, please don't send me the photo. And yes, it is the right size.
It almost is like I've just had this realization, but it's like Western culture and I guess Abrahamic religions, they're like so. It's like the obsession with this size thing, this size obsession. It's like instead of doing mental work or emotional labor to like go in and be what makes good sex and then coming at it from an emotional lens.
Yeah.
They're just like, it has to be exactly this size and this, you know what I mean? It's just like so capitalist to make it just this like physical thing that you have to reach for and you need to be like so big and good and strong and you need to dominate. Right.
And it's so ridiculous because there's one part of the body that you actually can't change. Like you're just given it,
So I think we're running out of time, so I don't think we have any time for any actual questions, but that was good.
That's a wonderful share.
A community contribution.
Please feel free to share any other contributions that you have, whether questions or experiences.
Yeah, or if you just want us to comment on an experience you had, DM us.
Yeah.
But otherwise, what's your 2025 looking like, Mother?
Well, yes, certainly in my professional sphere, I've been working on a new online course for couples.
Oh.
Couples Intimacy Masterclass. So we filmed it with your help too, thank you, darling, late last year. And it's all being edited. So the videographer, Paul, did the first edits. And then I went through and commented on all the edits, 18 pages of comments. Sent them back to him. So he is now making those changes.
It's like doing the couples weekend retreat, isn't it?
Yeah. So basically it's the content of my couples retreat. So the way it's being structured is you can do it as your own do-it-yourself retreat. So you can take 2 or 3 days and go through it. But if you can't take that time off, that's fine too. You can just do it at your own pace. Yeah. But very excited about that. It's full of really good stuff. And that will be released. I'm not going to put a date on it. It'll be released when it's released, but we're certainly making good progress. So stay tuned.
Very exciting. It's kind of like the podcast, but professional and an actual course rather than just like a dip in for an hour for a chat,
Yeah. I mean, I'm always sharing the same kind of stuff in just different formats.
Yeah. And this one, I guess, is like specific exercises and a theory for you.
Yeah.
And
You're
your
taken
couple.
through a journey, information and practice.
Yeah. Keep an eye out. I'll keep you updated.
Yep. So that's the main thing going on for me, as well as the clinic and as well as retreats, because there's retreats as usual this year. Yeah.
Exciting.
Yes. What about you?
I don't know. There's a few things floating around up there. A few little ideas.
Right.
But I just want the podcast to be really hot and popular.
Yep. Focusing on that. Please spread the word.
Yeah.
Share it with people.
Spread the word. Spread your legs.
In an empowered way.
Obviously.
All about pleasure and passion and power and goodness and living the erotic life.
But until next time, guys.
Yeah.
If you want to find Mum,
JacquelineHellier.com or Instagram, Jacqueline.Hellier.
Our Instagram page is My Mom's a Sex Therapist.
Yes.
And our intro and outro. Yes, our intro and outro music was recorded by Paul, the same Paul who's editing your series. Wow.
Yes, my videographer. He's also a composer.
King
Paul.
Everything else is done by me.
Yes. Bravo to Claude. Yeah, he couldn't do this without my marvelous Claude.
And until next time.
Yes.
Hope you love your life. Bye.
Bye.
This podcast was recorded on Gadigal land. We acknowledge the traditional custodians of this land and pay our respects to elders both past and present. Always was, always will be.